Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's L-E-N-A-R-D. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show! Special segment for February and March midweek drops. Normally Saturday monologues and normally a guest appearance on a Wednesday. February and March, 2 a week, Tuesday and Thursdays, in order to get caught up on some interviews that have been stacking up. Enjoy. Joining me today will be Sheila K. Collins, and that will be one of the questions, why the middle initial K? So in her honor, let's all raise a glass. I don't have a glass, I just have my water bottle, but let's raise a glass. Like, according to Google, Tom Collins in honor of Sheila K. Collins. A Tom Collins, according to Google, is a classic cocktail made with gin, lemon juice, sugar, or simple syrup, and carbonated water. It is served in a tall Collins glass, in quotation marks, over ice, and is considered a spiked, boy, this always, I hit record and I can't talk. A spiked sparkling lemonade. Key variations on the Collins family: a John Collins, the original made with Genevieve or whiskey, a vodka Collins, vodka replaces gin, rum Pedro Collins, I guess for other cultures, uses light wine rum, brandy Pierre Collins, I guess for those in France, uses brandy or cognac, Colonel Collins made with bourbon, can't talk. Michael Collins uses Irish whiskey, Sandy Jock Collins made with Scotch whiskey, and I dare say let's invent a new one in honor of Sheila K. Collins, the Sheila Collins. Let's add some Arnold Palmer tea-aid mix and have a Sheila K. Collins. So welcome to Bartending 101, Sheila.
Oh, yes, quite unusual. I wasn't expecting this to be a bar, but okay, I can play. Actually, you ask about the K. My mother's story is our name was Smith. That was our family name. Her name was Jane, and my father's name was Joe. So they were looking for something different that would go with Smith. And she says that she was reading a book by an author, Sheila K. Smith, and so she said I was named after that. And I've kept the K because there are too many Sheila Collinses. Collins is my married name, which in those days, people took their husband's name. Yep. And I did at that time. So anyway, yeah, it would be interesting to have a female version of the drinks you're talking about.
Exactly. What's with all this sexism, right? Darn it, we need a Sheila K. Collins blend, and we just invented it here today. And my audience knows I can't pass on lame puns and wordplay, so of course I had to play off your name. And the only way I could think to do it was the drink, even though I'm not a drinker myself. So, and yeah, Joseph M. Leonard, have to use my middle initial because my name looks French. It's not. It's actually Polish. Leonard without an O. And there is, though, a Joseph Leonard out of South Carolina who is also a Christian author. So I have to use my middle initial to distinguish, like you have to continue to use your middle initial to make the distinction, because just Google Sheila Collins, as you said, you might get the other one, or
Oh,
Joseph
listen,
Leonard, you'll get the other one.
it's worse than that. It's worse than that. I would get called by the grocery store that there was a check that had bounced and I was to come and pick it up, and it wasn't my check, but so these getting mixed up things we don't really want.
Exactly, exactly. So, at any rate, the actual reason you're here, I saw in your Podmatch bio, and my regulars know I use the Podmatch service often to find guests for the show,
Right.
says, let's make art out of what happens to us. And I love that line, needed to read nothing else more about you than that. So, but before we get to that, let's back up. I like to joke, put the garbage truck in reverse, right? Beep, beep, beep. Where were you born and raised? Where are you now? Significant places you may have been between, that sort of thing.
Okay, we're going to do that. Well, yeah. So I actually was born in Evanston, Illinois, and
Illinois.
Illinois, and uh, and I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville. That's how we say it when we're there.
Right.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Louisville, Kentucky. My dad was transferred in those days. The companies just moved men around like little chess pieces, and never mind, they had families, and that was okay. So, but I was lucky to grow up in Louisville, Kentucky, and that's what got me so into the arts. So, that because they had Louisville was supposed to, they built a bridge and they had some money left over and they didn't know what to do. And you got to be
Oh,
careful.
imagine that.
You,
How
you
did
got
that
to
happen?
you got to be careful what you do with the money left over. So they decided to make a community chest of the arts, the Louisville Foundation, and we kids used to take little canisters around to collect money for these programs that we were able to be in. So I was. My brother and I both, we were in theater, I was in dance. There was a Louisville ballet company I was in when I was 14. And of course, we thought everybody had this in their neighborhood. Everybody had this. But it turns out not. Louisville is still a center for art. And so I'm very grateful for that, yes. And then I've moved all around the country, but currently I'm living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh,
Boo
Pennsylvania.
penguins, boo penguins.
Well, fortunately for me, since I'm interested in the arts, we have lots of small arts groups and big arts groups. We have symphony, we have a ballet company. I mean, it's a really rich,
Yeah,
rich arts
yeah.
center.
Well, of course, again, my audience knows I can't pass on the puns. Who the heck are these Art brothers? Right? Art one and Art two. I don't like that name, Art. Get lame pun, right? The man's name, Art. Arthur, short for Art. Okay, now she's laughing. A joke loses when you have to explain it. But anyway, again, can't pass the lame puns. But
Okay.
indeed, let's make art out of what happens to us. Absolutely wonderful. Like my books, write about what you know, as they say. Life that goes on around me. I fictionalize it, put it into books.
Yes, and the reason I wanted to come on initially was to introduce you to my newest book, which is called The Art of Grieving. How art and art making help us grieve and live our best lives. And
Absolutely.
so,
And for the benefit of the 25 audio platforms or the transcript, she is holding up, you could see on behind the scenes video, The Art of Grieving book there. Very artistic cover. Explain the cover.
well, the cover is very important because grief is not stair steps we climb. We've been taught that, okay, you're going to feel this feeling.
Shock,
Now you're going to,
denial,
yeah,
anger, acceptance.
you
Yep.
know it. Everybody knows it. And then we get kind of mad when it doesn't turn out that way. I mean, we get to the top of the stairs and dust our hands off and we're not done. It's not a done thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, so the shape of it is it's a spiral. And that is,
Almost looks like Fibonacci sequence kind
well,
of
so
spiral.
many. The spiral is the shape of how energy moves in the universe. And so we, of course, are part of the universe, and that's how the energy moves within us and also between us. So what happens is that it's not just the past is the past. The past is, I have to go back sometimes to see what to go forward. When you asked me about my name,
Yeah.
I said, well,
To,
this is where my
yep.
name came from.
Yep. To know
So
where you're going, it's good to know where you've
where
been,
have you
why you were
been?
there, and whether you want to stay in that direction or chart a new path.
Yes. So anyway, how I got into all of this is, your life hands you things you don't want. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Things you did not order. You would never order off a menu. So some of the things that happened to me was that I had a son who died of AIDS at 31 years old, and that was not something he wanted or I wanted or any of the other millions of people at that time who died of that disease. So then 5 years later, my daughter gets breast cancer, and we know about
Oh,
that. It's everybody, that's ubiquitous for a lot of families, and she didn't make it. So I had to begin to understand more about what is all this, because I ran into, as I wrote about it and talked about it, I ran into people who don't think they want to hear about it. No, people are looking for the exit. And so that intrigued me in a way. Why can't we talk about this? And so then eventually, then I got to this in terms of the art of it, because we are, whoever you are, you're going to have loss. And things are going to happen that you do, however old you are, however
yeah.
rich you are, however poor you
Yeah.
are. It doesn't, you're going to need to know. So I got the notion that maybe we need to learn how to grieve, and and what I recognized in looking at my own life is the arts are how we grieve. We sometimes don't even realize it. So think about it. You're in your car, you just broke up with somebody. The music comes on, and it's your song, right? So,
Mm,
so okay. I mean, so because we're vibratory beings, we're going to re-experience or remember. Now, there will be a time when that will be a good memory. That will soften
right.
as you've had when you have a different partner or different life, it will soften. But the fact that it happened and was a part of your life, that's not something to just put aside forever. It's there, and it'll come back, and that's the spiral. The
Yep.
energy comes around, and the spiral come around.
I like that. I'm in the process of planning to release in May of 2026 the fifth book in my Life and Living series of books. Tentative working title is Loss. I too want to broach the part of fact of life and living is we all eventually die, and dealing with that loss. And indeed, as you said, ups and downs, I use roller coasters as a metaphor in there, and right,
Mhm.
tears of joy, tears of pain in the downtime, tears after the loss of indifference of opportunities that have been lost. I won't be able to put that song at the end of this. I don't have license rights to that song I created on Suno, but regarding all the jokes I've already made, I think I'll tack on to the end of this episode the tune "Serious About Being Silly," because indeed, as we're talking, loss, heavy, deep, dark, we need to maintain humor also through all this so we don't go insane ourselves along the journey.
Exactly. So that's where getting back to that notion of making art out of what happens to us. So I became a part of an improvisational system called interplay, where you just make stuff up in the moment and on the
Oh, wait a
spot.
minute. That that sounds X-rated. We can't have
Oh,
that.
oh, yeah, I know. Well, it
Is
sounds
that like
really
where you put your keys in the bowl kind of thing?
well. No,
Just joking, people. We're just joking here.
well, the thing of it is, interplay was started by two dancing ministers, which kind of comes a little bit
Couldn't
in
have been
here.
Baptists then dancing, right? Okay,
That's right.
jokes, people, jokes.
No,
Lighten up.
but you're right. There are some churches where it's forbidden to
The
dance. And
Footloose movie, right, was
so
based on.
be careful here. But that is because it's powerful. But there are religions where people dance. That's what they do in the temple. They dance. So that my for my in my life, that's what I did. I was a member of a dance company out of the Jewish Community Center in Detroit, Michigan, at one time in
Where
my
I
life.
am, Detroit suburb,
Is that where you
Wyandotte.
are? Okay.
Wyandotte, downriver, yes.
Okay, so we danced in our first piece was Make a Joyful Noise, which is from it was sung in Hebrew and with the music of Bernstein. We danced in churches and synagogues and country fairs
Yeah.
and museums and everything. So that's where
I don't, another joke. I used to write and record music. I do it now through the Suno system, but I don't sing myself anymore because it's not a joyful noise. It's more like a screech.
well. Well, we can still, whatever our skills, we can still use the arts, storytelling. So that's what my book is about, storytelling. See, when somebody loses, let's say, like a friend of mine, her sister died unexpectedly.
Mm.
And now, unexpectedly, only that she wasn't ill at the time. It's not unexpected that we're all going to die, as you mentioned, but
We're not promised tomorrow. We don't know how short
exactly,
or long.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
have my I'm grabbing where'd it go? A short story, lasting legacy book also deals with loss of someone dying unexpectedly younger
Mhm,
than
mhm,
our.
mhm.
We generally live longer now into our 80s, but somebody dying in their 30s and 40s, yes, is very unexpected.
Yeah. So then what is it? So I decided that people don't know what to say. When they just don't know what to say. So they kind of look for the exit. But what I know now is that what they want is I always say, tell me about your sister. I want to
Celebrate them. Don't.
I want to know
Yes.
her. And
Yes.
I have friends now that I know relatives of theirs because of the stories they've told me and
Yep.
the anniversaries we've celebrated. So
Yes.
on the day that my daughter died, one of my friends who never knew her knows that day, and we often go to lunch that day, or we can remember her and also recognize all the gifts that we had from her. And I've
They are only forgotten if we let their legacy be forgotten.
That's right. That's right.
Celebrate who they were along with the sadness of our being absent of them.
So, Joseph, what I'm most excited about right now is I am doing some retreats and the Art of Grieving retreats. And we're doing one in the Laurel Highlands of Pennsylvania. And that one is coming up in May. And then I'm doing one in New Mexico near Santa Fe in October. And so what happens is it turns out like I'm showing you something I made. So
Oh,
I can
nice.
I have now lost. I am the last remaining of the Smith family. There were six of us, and so I have had the, I guess, honor of being able to still be here. So I made. I visited the Mosaic Center. It's in Pennsylvania, and you take little stones and also things from nature. A lot of art is made out of found objects, which I love. In some ways, we're making our lives out of found objects, right? At least some of what I have is found. Certainly, it just came in. I don't know where it came from, but so then you have something that reminds you of the person, or of, in this case, my family, and so I can stay connected, which we find out is
Yes.
really the richness of a life is related to staying connected to who you used to be and who used to be with you and who is part of you in your heart even today.
Amen. I just last night literally added to the working title Lost Book a couple paragraphs. Doggone it, there's that frog again. On that, keeping attached via remembrances and keepsakes. Again, part of that keeping a person's, or in your case, as you're saying, an entire family's legacy alive, and remembering through objects that will be left behind even when you're gone.
You mentioned about legacy, and most recently, and this is here in Pennsylvania, but there's an organization. It's actually women who happened when Sputnik happened. This is many years ago, but there was a concern about the fact that where are we with science? Where are we with science? So they started raising money so that we could attract young people into science. So that we still need that, because there's many other careers you can have. And so this was money that they would raise, and then the university could use this to entice the best and the brightest to come and study.
Including or especially women, because back then we were far more patriarchal in society, and like brings to mind the movie Hidden Figures. Did you see that movie?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and even in women's health, so that I know that it was unfortunate for my daughter that women's health was not. We just did the studies with men. We knew that they should be also done with other people like women, but to just eliminate one of the variables. So for many, many years, that's how it was done. So my husband and I were able to contribute from a fund we had that our daughter's friends had made for her. And we were able to use that to fund a young scholar who is working on breast cancer. So when I tell you, it makes my voice shake, because I can't, the fact that we got him, assigned to us, but we said, we just, what we did, we said anything to do with women's health, because it's going to be in perpetuity her legacy, and hopefully one of these days breast cancer will be taken care of. But there's lots of other things that won't be. So that notion of doing something in the grief world is called co-destiny. So part of my destiny becomes to extend her legacy, or so that something she didn't get to do, we can try to see if it can happen or help it happen, or in this case, reduce the possibility of other people having her fate.
Mm-hmm.
So that notion, and for those that is the bereaved parent or the close friend, it feels wonderful to be able to do that.
Yep. And of course, we're talking art, but it doesn't matter the art. We've mentioned music, we've mentioned movie, we've mentioned arts and crafts, dancing.
Yes.
There's so many there. I am not against teaching arts in schools. I think we need them. Not everybody's going to be a mathematician, but I am concerned we don't pay enough attention to the core R's anymore. But art must be there, because not everybody's going to be a STEM major. Some may be a musician
Well,
or
as I've looked at this too, it isn't just that art, it's just like every class. If you go to, if you take a history class, you're not taking it because you want to be a historian, or make your living as a historian. I mean, maybe, but probably not. So we have to stop always focusing on it has to, what's your day job kind of thing. When you do an art, it comes from a side of your brain that is not as active in some of the other
yes, yeah.
things. So,
It's part of being holistic. And by holistic in this sense, I mean WHOLE, the whole person, the whole brain in acting, as you're talking about. Getting the functions of the whole brain, left and right, front and back, active.
well, and interestingly enough, when I visited the science center where the lab where the cancer research is going on, it's often the creative side of the person that's doing the try this, try that, how about this, how about that. So it's really about creativity, and we want to always encourage our children and ourselves to keep focused on what can I do,
Yep.
what can I contribute, what can we do about this problem or this situation or this thing that's happened that I did not put on my agenda for on my order for my menu.
And I'm with you 100%. The creative, imaginative side, look at the works of Heinlein or H.G. Wells or even Star Trek. The things that were imagined by creatives inspire some of the science of today.
Right. Yeah. So I'm very excited, as I said, particularly about this retreat, these two retreats that I'm doing. So I'm hoping that I can let people in your audience know they can sign up and come and do this with us in
Yeah.
May. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather you change the name, though. I'm not fond of the retreat idea. I don't like the concept of surrender. We need to call them offensives rather than retreats.
Oh, you're using. Oh, you're
Play
using.
on words, just a lame pun again.
Well, here's the thing, though. Oftentimes we need to get away from, get away from the relentless. I mean, it's relentless responsibilities or
Yeah.
focus.
The word meaning is purposeful here. It's not retreating as in like battle. It is indeed, as you say, retreating from, like I said about, and I will tack on the song Serious about being silly at the end of this episode.
Right.
Retreat from all the seriousness and just be silly and funny at times to get out of our own heads
Well,
of all this heavy stuff that goes on.
I also think it's a good way to look at ourselves. So I would love to invite you to. I have a class that I do online, and it's called Interplay. But we use music. It's based in story, and so what we do is we say, okay, what's up for you today, and the person names what that is, and everybody does that, and then we say. So what could you talk about? What could you talk about? You don't have to talk about it, but you could. So you kind of list the things that are up for you and the things that you could talk about. And then you decide afterwards, and that's kind of interesting because when you hear people say what they could talk about, you know a lot about them, even though they didn't talk about it. I mean, they just named it. So even naming it can be a very powerful thing. So then we start to make art out of whatever it is. So you select, maybe you want to just try to see if you can get all those things in when you're doing your improv. You're maybe starting with moving, the rhythm of it, and then maybe you end up singing one of the lines of it. Like, I can't stand this. So when we exaggerate, when we play with what's happened to us, it becomes lighter, even when it's very, very serious.
Yeah,
Even when
amen.
Very serious.
And,
So,
and sometimes a serious subject in one way can be a metaphor and deal or an analogy to deal with something else. When you said, what's up with you? Of course, my joke nature, I would answer the sky. Of course, right? Yeah, what's up? The sky. Well, which would launch me then into, and I've done an episode of Constitutionalists on this, what color is the sky really? If you answer, the sky is blue. Wrong answer. As a declarative statement, the sky is blue is scientifically false. It is actually opaque. It is clear. You look up at night, you see black. The actual color of space out there devoid of light, you see through the sky because it is opaque. It appears blue because of reflectivity and prism effect of the sun off our waters. It can appear orange. It can appear green at times. It can appear gray at times. So the sky is clear or opaque is the proper scientific answer.
And there's also a projection of your own emotions. So we have somebody who comes on this Friday morning class or experience with interplay from Israel, and he used to be in Pittsburgh. That's how I know. We used to do stuff in Pittsburgh, and when he moved, his wife is from that country, and they have grandchildren there. So grandchildren always are a big pull. So they moved there a number of years ago, but. He came on one day right after the October 7th event. And we were just so grateful to see him because we didn't know how he was and how his family was. And he was, and we said, how are you? How are you? And he said, oh, it's so wonderful to see your smiling faces. And so he couldn't stay very long at the time, but what that taught us, and so we made a song for him. And what it taught us is that maybe we have a responsibility to not just focus on, we know about the war, we know, yes, it's awful, it's terrible, but we want to hold on to what we're hoping it's going to be. We hold on to the smiling faces, the soft tones. We don't want to give that up because that is the human condition that we are holding up. We are making art out of something so that we can hold that up.
Although I have issue with John Lennon and Imagine. No, sorry. Silly. There's no such thing as perfect. Trying to sing about and pretending perfect is ever going to happen is not realistic. So, clinging to things that are achievable, as like you're referring to in your song there, we can achieve through ourselves, starting with ourselves, trying to make it a better world, one person at a time. That's achievable.
Yes, but it also takes more than one person, so it's really our connection.
But you start a movement. Yes, you start a movement.
That's the sense of the connection and so that's one of the things that, for instance, singing, singing, when people start singing together, that becomes very powerful for the individuals and for the people they're giving the message to.
Now, I mentioned John Lennon Imagine. I have a video exclusive show on my platforms about the White Lion song, When the Children Cry. Also a very aspirational kind of song. And so I talk about, what is really achievable and all that? And I get it, right? As an author, as a writer of songs myself, sometimes you say things in the song because it flows, not because it's realistic. It's metaphor for something we hope.
I was going to say
that we're able to achieve. So there's that. But at any rate, time has flown, and indeed, as like with most guests, I never script shows. A lot of rabbit holes opened up, which we drove down. We went way beyond let's make art out of what happens to us. But and I didn't say your name enough. I like to repeat the name through the episode so it sticks with people. Thank you, Sheila K. Collins. Not the drink, though we invented a new version in your honor today, for joining today. It was a great discussion.
Thank you very much. And I hope to see some of your hear from some of your viewers if they're interested in doing.
And that's the last question. Do you have a website for people to find you?
I do. And the wonderful part about my website is it's my name. So,
as it is for a lot of people.
Yes.
.com?
SheilaKCollins.com.
Yeah.
You just have to spell it right. It's Sheila Collins. And yes, you can find all kinds of good things in there. Videos and descriptions of my other books, and hopefully of these upcoming retreats.
And yet another reason why you should watch my show on the 5 video platforms as opposed to just listening on the 25 plus audio platforms. I actually think I'm up to 40 now. Your name and the website will be in post, put as a scroll at the bottom of the screen for all to see, so they won't get the spelling wrong. Plus, to see that you held up your book and to see that you held up that piece of art. So, again, thank you, Sheila K. Collins. It was a pleasure.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. God bless.
Bills in a pile, inbox on fire, calendar shouting, emergency choir, phones all buzzing like anxious bees. I'm scheduling panic between my pleas. So here's a silly little song about nothing. La, la, la. We're doing it wrong, but it's something. If the world's too loud and the news too strong, we forget to be dumb. So I'll sing along to a silly little song about nothing. Yeah, absolutely nothing. Deadlines racing like shopping carts. Coffee's a habit that owns my heart. Group chat screaming in all caps feed. So I rhyme serious with cereal here, 'cause this is a silly little song about nothing. La, la, la. Just humming along, still nothing. If your brain's too tight and your day's too long, let it slip, let it flip, let it all feel wrong. With a silly little song about nothing. We're professionals at nothing. We're professionals at nothing. Take a breath, take a break, take a dance you didn't make. Take a thought, let it drop, let the heavy story stop for a minute, for a beat, for a half-bad rhyme that won't compete. Yeah, this is a silly little song about nothing. La, la, la. Important and wrong, that's the fun thing. When the world feels sharp and the edge too strong, we defend our high joy with a dumb old song. Just a silly little song about nothing. And that's really saying something.
Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe, We need you to help spread the constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.